Pisces, and November energy is upon us. And the message I'm getting from your guides is have a heart. Let's have an aligned astro chat about it. Cello all, Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to your Transformational Tarot for November for Pisces. And what an interesting message. Have a heart. So I can't wait to tune in and see what that is all about for you. I was told to pull cards for you from the Delos Tarot. This is a fairly new deck to me. It's super cute. I love the imagery. It is a mini deck. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to see the imagery, and I might just have to lift the cards up a little bit for you guys. And then we are pulling an overarching theme for you from the Divine Feather Messenger deck from Alison DeNicola and David Shearer. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, let's shuffle up these bad boys and see what feather message is coming through for you guys. Parrot, let go of others' thoughts and opinions. It's time to embrace who you really are. Wow, I love that. So I feel like, and this came up, I think it was in the Gemini reading, if I'm not mistaken. So there might be something Gemini there in the Gemini reading for you guys as well, around like people pleasing. I feel like November for you guys is really going to be about paying attention to where maybe you are leaning in to try and get someone else's approval, where you're maybe talking a lot because you're feeling like you're actually not being heard, where you might be lacking some boundary with particular individuals in your life. And pay attention to where you lean in. You know, is it a boundary where you are being clingy? Is it a boundary where you're being too distant and you're not making any connection at all? I feel, and of course there are, various gradients within that. But I feel like it's evaluating boundaries and why you're behaving the way that you're behaving with those boundaries or lack of boundary. Let go of others' thoughts and opinions. It is time to embrace who you really are. I feel like that people pleasing is really going to impede your growth in the next 3 to 4 months. And November is coming up for you to say, let's deal with it now. Let's talk about it. The parrot talks, right? The parrot says a lot of stuff. And the parrot will repeat things. And the parrot can repeat things that maybe are a little embarrassing, things that you might not want that parrot to repeat. So I feel like you need to address the parrot. You need to have intentional conversation with the parrot so that parrot is, I want to say, on board and on the same page with the message, right, that you're wanting to express. Time to embrace, and I would say express who you really are. Interesting. So let's shuffle up here and dive on in with the present, where you're at right now in your transformational journey. What part of you is shifting, rising, or dissolving? Interesting. 7 of Wands. So I really feel like, Pisces, there's been some energy around you feeling like you have to be on the defensive or constantly defending yourself. And I feel like for a lot of you, this is around one particular person in your life. Now, this is a general reading, Pisces. So some of you, it might be at work. For some of you, it might be in a family dynamic. For some of you, it might be a friend dynamic. So, use your discernment and see where it resonates. Take what works for you, leave the rest behind. But I feel like it's definitely connected to something that you are engaging with in a one-on-one capacity. And I just keep feeling exhaustion coming as a result of this, because whoever it is that you're trying to explain yourself to doesn't really want to know. Like, they don't really care. They may act like they care. They may be kind of dangling the carrot and stringing you along. They may be saying, oh, well, if you jump through this hoop, then, we can talk about that. I'm thinking about a work situation. Oh, you want a promotion? Okay, well, jump through this hoop and then we can talk. And then you jump through the hoop and, oh, well, things have shifted and changed. And now, like, if you jump through these 3 hoops, then we can kind of talk. So then you go and you jump through those 3 hoops and then something else has changed, right? The goalpost keeps getting moved. I feel here when we're talking about where you're exhausted. So I feel like this is coming up so that you can shift it. You can see it for what it is very clearly, see it for who it is in your life, and put the wand down. I feel like that's what you want to do. It's like, I'm just putting the wand down and I'm walking away. I understand that there is a game involved here, and I'm just choosing to not play the game. I feel like that's really important. And I want to say to you, this shift can be really easy. You're a Pisces, you're a water sign, so you shift and flow very easily. This can be very easy for you when you step into like your own way of doing things. I feel like the people pleasing has caused you to maybe try to morph into something more along the lines of what that person wants you to be or needs you to be. And when you just behave in the way that you are, you're going to be able to, I see like the fish that slips out of the hand and is able to swim away fast, right? Like slippery. And off you go. You've been stuck in this because you've been applying things that don't come naturally to you. You're trying to be something, not that you want to be something other than you're not. I'm not saying you're not being authentic. I'm saying that you're trying to please. And when we try to please, we turn ourselves into pretzels to please. And I just feel like whatever this situation, circumstance, or person is that is creating this, there's no pleasing them. They're just going to continue to move the goalpost. So remove yourself from the game. Just stop the chaos. The catalyst, what's fueling or hindering this transformation? Is it resistance for you or rocket fuel? I love it. The High Priestess. Yes, I feel like you are really wanting to feel more connection with self and source. You're wanting to be acknowledged for everything that you bring to the table. I'm feeling that November is going to be a very heightened psychic time for you as well. And for some of you, I feel like some of this validation, wanting this validation, comes from things that you have received intuitionally or psychically that you've put out there and you're not, and it's come true, it's come to pass, and people aren't acknowledging you, or they're hushing you up, or they're dismissive. And the High Priestess is coming through with a message, I feel, to say, she doesn't give a fig for who likes her or doesn't like her. She doesn't give a fig for whether you like the messaging that she gives you or not. She's the oracle. She tunes in. She gives you exactly what she gets with the same tone, the same style, the same voice. I feel like I just did a reading with some of the same messaging here. So there's definitely, I want to say, like a theme in the month. Maybe some of this is about the collective as well. But the point is, she delivers what it is that she feels she needs to deliver to you. She doesn't judge it. She doesn't sugarcoat it. She doesn't even modify it. She just gives it to you and then thank you, next. Moving on. And I feel like this can be your rocket fuel to getting you out of this situation. You have a heart. You have a heart. And I feel like you're giving the heart kind of to the wrong person, or you're wanting your heart to be acknowledged by someone who basically refuses to acknowledge it. So step a little more into that High Priestess energy of, okay, I don't care who you are or what you have. I'm giving you the information, or I'm giving you the best that I've got. I'm giving you who I am. Take it or leave it. And I'm removing myself from the game. If you're going to leave it, that's fine. I'm going to remove myself from the game because I no longer want to feel like I have to turn myself into a pretzel in order to be able to connect with you, or to make this work, or to feel appreciated. Deep root, what deep belief, wound, or soul contract is driving this transformation under the surface? Ooh, so it's definitely a soul contract with this one-to-one kind of situation. And I feel like it is someone who is a little bit younger in spirit. I would say, I'm going to go a little hoobity floob on you guys here now. I would say this is a young soul versus an old soul, a soul that maybe has not incarnated on earth very often, is caught up more in the physicality of life, in the things and the stuff, than in being a good, decent human person, human being, feeling connected to everything in the all that is. This is someone who I want to say feels a little more selfish. And not to say that the Page of Wands, carries necessarily all those qualities and characteristics. The Page of Wands typically is, very enthusiastic about life and looks forward to, the next journey. But I feel like you're dealing with someone who's got a lot of immaturity, someone who thinks that their wand is the best wand in the world and the biggest wand in the world, and nothing can match this wand because this person hasn't really been out there enough, doesn't really have a ton of experience, but has a lot of hubris. So people like this trigger you, and I feel like they trigger you because they think their shit doesn't stink, and you're sitting over here saying, hey, I'm doing all the work. I'm putting all the effort in. I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing the other thing. And like, come on, we're all working together, right? We're all together. We're all in this together. And you've got someone who's like, oh, yeah, we can be all together. And then they're off doing whatever it is that they're doing, and they're taking the credit for what you're putting in. Or they're telling you that they're doing a lot of things, but their actions do not match that. I also feel that this individual has the tendency to burn things to the ground. So this is someone who, we often say the Midas touch, everything the person touches turns to gold. This, I feel, is everything this person touches catches fire. And sometimes that can be positive, catching fire and, motivation and moving on and big and whatever. But also catching fire means burning something to the ground, destroying something. So I feel like that soul contract is what is driving this. It's important that you speak your truth. It's important that you let go and step out of the game. Otherwise, this person is going to literally set you on fire, and not in a good way, not in the passionate way. What's dying away? What role, pattern, or identity has run its course? Interesting. 9 of Wands. So you cannot control this situation. No matter what it is that you do. Like I said, this person moves the goalpost. Whether they do it emotionally or physically or mentally, they're moving the goalpost financially. I feel like what's dying away is the illusion that you have any control over this person or this particular environment that you find yourself in, any control over the game. And this is a good thing. I want to say this is an excellent place for you to be, because when you have this realization, the blinders are off, and now you recognize, there's nothing here for me. I don't need to do this. And in fact, I recognize now that I'm doing this for this person's benefit, thinking that I'm doing it for the benefit of all, but only this person is benefiting. And I don't want that. I want to be inclusive. I want to help everyone on the team, everyone in the, in the boat. And this guy wants to burn the boat down. So I feel like this is a really positive thing for you, because when you witness this in this soul contract, you're also going to see where it has played itself out in other areas of your life in a subconscious way. And when you recognize that, now there's a pattern, a tangible pattern that you can say, now, I'm not going to do that anymore. I see it clearly. So now I can make different choices. I'm not walking into it. Wow, that feels really powerful. I'm loving this for you guys. highest potential. This is your highest Phoenix potential. These cards are really talking to you too. What can rise from these ashes? What is your soul calling you toward? This is the breakthrough energy, Temperance. So it's really interesting. This is a card of alchemy, but I also feel that this is a card of balance, tolerance, and alignment. And I feel like it's bringing you back into balance. And I feel that alignment energy is also important. Bringing yourself back into balance is one thing, and balance shifts, given any situation, circumstance, time of day, whatever the case may be. There's always going to be, balance is always going to be subjective. But when we talk about alignment is different. Alignment to your soul purpose, alignment to source energy, alignment to frequency that brings you higher, frequency that allows you to connect with your guides, allows you to receive information with clarity, alignment to the individuals that you are choosing to serve, alignment to the message that you're communicating. I feel like all of the above is really what is going to come out of this. And you're going to realize just how much this has been coloring and maybe blocking this power. This I feel like this has kind of been your goal all along, and you thought you were on the path, and this person's been hijacking it. But like I see this, the spy movies where they've gone in and changed the feed of the security cameras. So you've been kind of thinking that you're in one place or thinking that everything has been fine and normal, but really there's been stuff going on, underneath, kind of under the hood on the side. So I feel like the fog is cleared, the fog is lifted, and now you're able to connect and match frequency and vibration as a result of this, because you're now seeing beyond the illusion of what is. Love that. So this is your next step. This is what's emerging. What is emerging just around the corner? What experience or energy is coming in to support this next phase? Oh my God. So I think it's either Capricorn or Aquarius that has a lot of these same cards in it as well. So you may enjoy watching and may get something out of those readings as well. Check it out. Because like the High Priestess, Justice, and Temperance, I think that was in Aquarius's reading, if I'm not mistaken. Like that's just kind of blowing my mind. Wow. Okay. So what's emerging, I feel, is balance, right? We were just talking about that with the Temperance card. You're achieving balance, but you're achieving balance by, I want to say, like completely separating the wheat from the chaff. When we talk about you removing yourself from the game, it's like you're taking your game piece off the board, so nobody can use your game piece, right? And you may even stop the game for them as well, because if there's no game piece, they can't interact. They might have to find a new player. And that's all fine. You don't care. But I want to say justice is served, right? I feel like there's going to be a truth revealed, and I feel like you're going to have some level of vindication when all is said and done. And I don't feel like that's necessarily what you're seeking out, but I do feel that that is what is going to come on the other side of all of this. You're going to be just very content to have the fog lifted and to be, aligned with where you're going. But justice is coming in to give you, I want to say, that extra bump, that extra boost of energy. Also with justice, it is about decisions. Stepping into discernment. That's what I meant to say. Stepping into discernment. The Justice card is about having to discern between what is true and what is false. What is illegal and what is legal, where a wrong has been done and where no wrong has been done. And so I feel like when we're talking about this discernment piece, you're gaining all of it, but it's almost like the Justice card comes in basically saying you're going to learn it times 10. Like the work that you did, you get a bonus round, which means that you gained, 10 extra experience points where you normally would have only gained 1 or 2. So I feel like the Justice card is coming through to say, you're not asking for this, but it's going to arrive. And man, oh man, is it going to feel good when it shows up. And, for some of you, especially in like a work environment, when this justice comes to light, there may actually be a bit of a scandal around it. Not to say that you are caught up in the scandal. I feel like you will have removed yourself from it, so you won't be connected to it anymore. But when the scandal occurs, other people are going to say, that's why they left, or that's why they decided not to participate in the project. That's why they, chose not to come to the party, right? So I want to say vindication. I feel like there's going to be vindication. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that you were discerning very quickly. As soon as this came to pass, you discerned that, nope, this isn't going to work for me. I'm discerning what is right from wrong. I'm discerning what you're trying to sell me some swampland down in Florida. But really what you're trying to do is get me to do your work, or trying to get me to believe something that isn't the case. Maybe a little gaslighting going on there. Interesting. Your role in the shift, you in this process, how are you navigating this transformation? Are you resisting, flowing, grieving, or boldly rising? Interesting. 3 of Cups. Yeah, I feel like once you come to terms with what is actually transpiring and you make the decision to remove your game piece from the board, there's celebration. And I feel like it kind of frees you up to actually be able to do more of this. It almost feels like the last couple of months, it's been a lot of all work and no play, or very little play. And I feel like the 3 of Cups is coming through to really indicate to you that there's going to be more sociability, there's going to be more community, and there is going to be something to celebrate. These women here, these girls here are drinking champagne. So it's different than just sharing a glass of wine. It's champagne. There's something to celebrate, right? This is a big deal. And they're all standing in a lotus flower. So the lotus flower grows out of the muck and mire. It is kind of like a similar analogy to the mushroom. The mushroom grows out of fertilizer, right? The lotus flower grows out of this thick, pasty mud and muck, and it has to work really hard, to work through those layers of muck and mud in order to get its bearings. And then once it grows, it's beautiful and it lasts a long time. But it really is a symbol of achievement, the fortitude, the resilience, the effort, and then the achievement on the other side of it. So I really feel like this is something that you're going to really be enjoying. You're going to enjoy every single minute of it. So are you resisting, flowing, grieving, or boldly rising? I feel like you're flowing and you're boldly rising at the same time. And you're going to have support and people that are going to kind of fill you in on all the gossip and the tidbits on, how things unfold, the scandal, right? So be careful of the gossip piece. Maybe listen, but don't participate in it. But when you have something like this where somebody is, wreaking havoc, it's only human and only natural to take pleasure in hearing a little bit of their downfall or justice being served, right? So I'm certainly not going to hold you from that. I'm going to toast champagne with you. I'm going to have a glass of champagne with you to toast your success. So circles of support. Who or what is influencing your transformation right now? Yeah, okay. So calling a truce on the game, right? All these cards I feel are really just reinforcing the story, right? They're reinforcing the message of what we got. Calling a truce on the game, but then I also feel like this is about you getting out of your head and getting back into your heart space, where I want to say where you feel the most comfortable. Again, I call to mind that there's been a portion of you or an aspect of you that has been trying to not become something that you aren't, but to to work in a way that somebody else has wanted you to work, or to be something that somebody feels like they need you to be. And you're letting all of that go. You're shedding that, and you're dropping the swords, you're getting out of your head, because it's exhausting anyway to constantly be having to think about, well, what would this other person want me to do, or how would this other person want me to jump through this hoop or that hoop or the other hoop. And you're going back into a space of, okay, what do I know really well? I can swim in the water. I can intuit like a mofo. I'm going to just dive into that because that feels really good. That feels balanced. That feels aligned with where I'm going. And my mind will catch up. My mind will still be there. My thoughts will catch up. My heart wants to have a say. Have a heart. My heart wants to speak and inform my next choices. Hopes and fears. What are you dreaming of becoming, and what scares you about actually doing it? So, whatever this big shift is that you're making, I want to say to you, simple isn't always easy. And I feel like your choice, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So your choice is going to be simple, but it's not necessarily going to be easy. And I feel like when we're talking about the hopes and fears and that, the becoming, obviously you don't want to become the tower. I feel like you want to become the lightning that has the ability to strike the tower down. But I feel like you also understand that in order to do that, I'm once again becoming something that I'm not. And I keep hearing the word forgiveness here. So the Tower card is a shift in perspective. Yes, it is complete and utter oblivion and obstruction and destruction and all the things of the stuff. But on the other side of it, it really is a shift in perspective. Clearing the decks so that you can bring something more aligned into your path and into the mix. And I feel like for you, you don't necessarily want to be seen as the destroyer. There's a part of you, yes, when you dive into your feelings and emotions about it, hell yeah, you want to be the destroyer. You want to see these mofos, suffer, right? But like I see it, you're going to get that vindication. And you're going to get that vindication without you being the one that actually has to dole out the damage, right? So I feel a little bit of conflict here. And I don't know exactly how this is going to play out for you guys individually. But I really feel like the hope and the fear is the same. Like you're happy that the vindication has occurred. You want to sink into the evil queen or the wicked stepmother. You want to, but there's also that part of you that recognizes that that's not good. It's not a good place for you to be. That you're trying to align. Your whole thing here is alignment with the future, alignment with what is going to serve you best, because you've been in service to somebody else who has not been true. So you're moving now into a situation where you're doing it for you. And if you're hanging on to this too much, if you're focusing on this too much, then you're staying here. You're staying stuck in the past. So I don't know exactly how this is going to play out for you in terms of what you're dreaming of becoming. But I would say to you, you want to focus on what comes after the tower burns to the ground. Because I feel like that is what you're becoming. An aligned, clean slate where you can write your own ticket. You get to create whatever it is that's coming up and coming through. Very interesting. Also, it's a 7. So 16 breaks down into a 7. 7 is the number of divinity. And I feel like, I don't know if I said that in another reading or if I said that in your reading here, but I feel like 7 is significant for you. It is the number of divinity. And I feel like you're seeking some of that out as well, because you want to get reconnected to self and source again. I mentioned before you got hijacked. So this is about kind of taking back your power, standing in yourself again, feeling comfortable in your own skin again, kind of remembering who you are. And I feel like maybe there's element to that, and energy to that, the hopes and fears for you here and what you're dreaming of becoming. That's what the Tower is going to bring to you. All right, this is your outcome. If you stay on course in November, who will you be on the other side of this journey? And what is the result of embracing the full cycle of death and rebirth? Connected to your shadow side, connected to your shadow work in a very healthy way. And the rebel. And I feel like you need to be the rebel after doing all of this people pleasing. You need to kind of balance out the scales of that. I did so much people pleasing. Now I'm going to do no people pleasing of any kind right now. And then I'm going to seek out the happy medium for me in the center. But there does need to be a tally of balance. Now, I'm not saying go and, burn shit to the ground and, be an a-hole to everybody who crosses your path. Certainly not. But I will say to you, being the rebel can be, instead of you staying home and doing the dishes and the laundry when you've got an opportunity to go out and be social, and you know that you kind of need to get that laundry done, you've been putting it off for 3 days, you decide, you know what, screw it. I'll just, go to the local store, pick up buy a pair of underwear for tomorrow, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to have a great time. And I'm not going to worry about the rest of it. And I can do the laundry while I'm sleeping. Like, I feel like that's kind of the form of rebel, like just rebelling against the norm, the structures, what I should do, what I'm supposed to do. You're going to be moving beyond that. And I feel like there's almost this, it feels like a phoenix rising from the ashes kind of energy, because this is not going to be easy to witness all of this stuff, knowing that like you've been kind of in this for a while. It's not going to feel good. It might even bruise the ego a little bit. It's going to be a little tender. But I feel like doing some of the rebellious stuff kind of like buys back your confidence, makes you feel a little bit better. You get a 1-up, maybe even a 2-up. At times. And I don't want to say you're rebuilding, because I don't feel like you're burned to the ground, but I will say that there's a component of, maybe reinventing yourself or taking off the mask of, sort of what you got caught up in here, and really getting into more of that authenticity. And the devil is nothing if the devil is not authentically, manipulative and sneaky and like all the things in the stuff. Not saying that that's what you need to be, just saying like borrow the authenticity. The devil actually in reality, or in fact, never actually lies to anyone. He uses clever wording. He uses gaslighting. He uses all of these other tools to entice you, to distract you. And then he gets his way, right? So we can't really call him a liar. He's authentically devilish. He's authentically manipulative, right? So again, not saying be manipulative and all those things, but saying own your authenticity. And I feel like rebelling into who you really are is going to counterbalance some of the stuff that you're coming out of in this situation. Oh my God, I hope that makes some sense. I feel like I'm kind of talking in circles with you guys. All right, Pisces, that is your transformational tarot for November. As always, sending you so much love and support. If you need a little help or a little guidance through this transformation or this transition at all, please click on the link below. You know where to find me, book a session. I would love to be of service. Otherwise, guys, have the most amazing November. We will see you on the flip side, and transform well.